really important messages to give you. I think sometimes you get tired of hearing me about the benefits of exercise and do this and do that, and here's why it's good for your health. You kind of need to hear it sometimes from somebody else. And so throughout the semester, we'll be having different guest speakers. This is the first one I've had in a long time.
It's my first time getting to be a guest speaker.
I ran into Natalie just recently, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you got to come talk to my kids because it's a good message, and I think it's an important message for all my students to hear. So she was my student 20 years ago. 20 years ago, she went to Mesa High.
2 whole decades.
My whole career. So she was a Mesa High student in this very class that you guys are in now.
Sweat all over it.
Like aerobics,
It's great.
complete finish. She was in the purple, she was in the black in this gym, just like you are right now. So that's why I think it's kind of neat to have her speak to you. Okay? So give your undivided attention to Natalie, and I'll let you take it.
So I'm super excited to get to share my story with you guys because it's quite the tale. So I started out my life just like all of you, typical American kid, did all the normal things, watched Disney, went and played outside, had a pretty good time. Didn't really notice a whole lot of issues or struggles in life until I was about 11. That was when things changed. I started gaining weight very rapidly. I started growing facial hair to the point that I had a full beard all the way across. Big 5 o'clock shadow. And I got to deal with that for many, many, many years. Part of being in my teens was the SAD diet. Any of you ever hear of the SAD diet before? It's the standard American diet. When you eat pizza and hamburgers and hot dogs and ramen and basically anything I could get my hands on went in my mouth. That was my mode. So that was about the time I ended up coming across Coach Court. And I was really excited because she helped me majorly. She showed me that movement could help me to lose weight. So when about a year and a half, she helped me lose over 65 pounds. And by the time I was a senior, got to look like this and sell my first art piece. I was super excited. So part of my working out journey, I'll share this now, was when I first started, I hated it. It was rough. I came into class sweating like so bad. I would go to the next class with a beet red tomato face and just dripping sweat. It looked like I had just gotten out of the shower pretty much every day. But by the time I got through my first semester and I'd lost around 15 pounds at that point, I decided I'm gonna keep on going because I had started at 200 and 15 wasn't quite where I wanted to get. I wanted to get lower. So I came back for my senior year and kept on pushing, kept on sweating, kept on working out until I was able to get into this kind of shape. And that was when I got to graduate high school and start life. Coach Court was a huge help for me. She actually helped get me into massage therapy school. That was what I decided was going to be the best education for me so that I could understand the whole body and systems, and then have that education and be able to continue learning from various doctors and books and things on how I could continue my healing journey and get rid of this beard that I really didn't want to have. So I graduated massage therapy school, and right before I graduated, I had gotten married, and then life hit. Got out of massage therapy school. 3 months later, I was in a car accident. This car accident put me in a ton of pain. I couldn't work out. I couldn't move. I couldn't do what I knew at that time was the only way that I could lose weight, was moving. So it was really, really hard for many, many years. I suffered in a lot of pain. I dealt with the weight again and just kind of coasted and decided I didn't want to coast anymore. I wanted to get it under control. I wanted to fully heal and be where I wanted to be. So that was when I started working for a company called Green Tea HP. And this company, I was really excited to work for them because I did a little bit of research on them. Do anybody know much about green tea or the benefits of it? So just one benefit from green tea is an antioxidant called EGCG. And there's tons of research on this antioxidant. It's very, very powerful in its ability to help heal. So I did some more reading and found that they actually had a process that made it so you could have 50 cups worth of this drink, this EGCG antioxidant, but it didn't have all the caffeine and all the other stuff that came along with it. It was just the antioxidant. So I was like, okay, this is awesome. I'm gonna start doing this. Just adding that drink to my diet, I lost 30 pounds from the state I was right here. And I thought, okay, if this one food, this one drink can do this for me, what else am I eating and what's it doing to me? So I decided it was time to do a little more research, do a little more studying. And I ended up coming across a conference called The Real Truth About Health. This has been going on for a little over a decade, and it's a conference that brings doctors from all around the globe, specialists in nutritionists and GMOs and pesticides and cancer and you name it, raw foodists. They had a doctor, a specialist for every single one of these fields. So I was able to get a really good broad idea of what the top people were saying in all of these fields. Some of the ones that stuck out to me the most were these four gentlemen. Dr. Joel Fuhrman down here in the corner, his whole education was on all of the foods. What state is the food in? Is it cooked? Is it raw? Is it steamed? And what effect does that food have on the body? And what is the best route to go with each and every one of these foods? So I found his information really helpful. Another one was Dr. Michael Greger. After losing a family member to disease, he decided that his educational base would be learning how studies were actually set up, understanding the science in all of these various studies, and putting it together so that we didn't have to, because it's not easy to read thousands and thousands of studies. So that's what him and his team do. And they've got an entire website called nutritionfacts.org where he spills the beans on all of it. Makes it really, really available and good to know. These two other gentlemen were very impactful for me. Dr. T. Colin Campbell was very interested. He came from a dairy farm, and he wanted to help to prove the benefits of having various animal products in the diet. In his 30 plus years of study, he found quite the opposite effect to be true. That the more vegetables he added, the more fruits, the more whole food, nuts, seeds, things like that he added to the diet, the healthier people were, the stronger they were, the less illness they had. So I found that fairly interesting. Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, I can talk, I promise. He actually was really inspiring for me because my dad's had 2 heart attacks and a stroke. So for me, I was like, I don't want to do with that. I don't want to have anything to do with a heart attack or a stroke. So his information was great because he actually was a country surgeon general for many years. He had a heart clinic, and his whole practice was in doing surgeries and helping people heal. When he discovered the effects of animal versus plant foods, he decided in his clinic he would take several of his patients, switch them to a totally plant-based diet, and found remarkable benefit to switching them. They all had improved circulation. They all had huge changes, even after having these major heart attacks and various issues, complications. So I decided maybe I should add a few whole foods, some plants, to my diet. When I was looking into all of these different plants and foods and things, I found that when I would go to the store, there was all these different varieties. Some organic, some not organic, and depending on the farm that I came from, depending on the practices that they used, every plant was going to have different things in it. Some of them would have higher heavy metal content, which I didn't want. Some of them were sprayed with pesticides, which I didn't want. There was all of these things happening to the food, and I thought, okay, I really need to start growing my own food. But until then, I'll at least do the best I can and get organic or, whatever the top is at the location that I'm at. I just do the best that I can. So in growing my own food, I found these two gentlemen that John Kohler, the gentleman on top, actually goes around the globe to various farms from the individual to the huge corporation, and they're all organic, and his whole goal was to show people that you could grow your own food at your own place, in your own setting, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. And I found it really intriguing. The only issue was I couldn't find any place for here. This gentleman on the bottom, Kevin Espirito, same thing. He had all of these different channels that he would get together with, and they would share all their different tips from around the globe, how they were healing or growing their various foods and the practices used. Again, nothing for here in the valley. We happen to have a very unique situation here. It gets really, really hot in the middle of the summer, as many of you know. So my backyard turns into a brick oven every year, and I have to start over. But this woman has been growing here in the valley for many, many years, and I recently discovered her channel and was very excited because I am still at the beginning of my growing experience and am not doing awesome. I've been able to get things to grow, but I haven't gotten to harvest a whole lot because, well, it takes practice. So these are some of the things that I started adding to my diet in the meantime, while I'm figuring out the whole growing thing, because that's my journey right now. Sprouts and aloe vera were two of the major things. When I first heard about somebody eating aloe vera, I was like, what? You want me to eat what? So I discovered there's actually a process to consuming it, and there are incredible benefits. So I add that to things like smoothies. I make it into ice cubes and rub it on my skin, and it is phenomenal for healing things like burns and cuts and all of those things on the outside, but it has equal benefit on the inside. So adding sprouts, adding aloe vera was one of the first things that I did to start changing my diet. These are some of the things that I've been able to grow in the last year. It's an absolute blast. Getting out in the garden and getting your hands dirty is one of the things that I could not recommend most. It is so much fun to get out there and watch things grow, and it helps you get past phobias. I used to kind of freak out with things like, bugs, bees, things like that. Now I'm over there like, come on, little buddy, helping him out, and it's great. So get outside and get dirty. It's lots of fun. This is another thing that I decided to add, Irish sea moss. Again, one of those things I heard the name and went, huh? It's a what? And I decided after getting it that I was going to try it and process it. I made a plant-based Cool Whip to dip my fruit in, and it was absolutely delicious. And the best part was it was actually good for me instead of being something that was going to be super inflammatory and cause more problems for me. It was going to help me heal. So on my journey, this is what it used to look like. I had hair all the way across. I ended up not taking pictures when it was at its worst stage just because I wasn't that proud of it at the time. I also had chest hair. I had varicose and bulging veins down the right side of my leg. And over the last couple of years, making the dietary changes that I have and the exercising that I've done, this is the shift that I have had in the facial hair. It's finally healing, it's finally regressing and going through the healing process. So my message to you is, regardless of the situation that you're in, whether you're trying to lose weight, trying to gain weight, trying to correct your hormones, just trying to be day to day, just do the best you can. Seek the answers because they're out there. You will find whatever you're trying to heal, and do your best. Just heal. We all can.
Talk about, I know you did first hour, when you do start to lose weight, get a little bit more energy and you're active, what does that do to your disposition?
It's huge. It's life-changing. When I first started working out, like I said, I couldn't stand it. It was exhausting. I was like, do I have to do this every day? That was the attitude. When I finally got to my senior year and the weight had started to come off, I started to feel light. I had energy. I had drive. I wanted to get up and move and do things. Of course, then life hit, went through, the car accident, went through a divorce, got remarried. So, you have ups and downs, and I definitely put the weight back on, but I always remembered what I did here, what I was capable of doing just from movement. So that was what I decided to do. Only the second time and the third time, because I went up to 200 pounds 2 other times, I decided the third time that was it. I was getting the diet under control, I was getting the working out and the movement under control, and I was going to heal. So it takes pushing through, it takes getting past the initial, oh, this sucks, before you get to feel the energy, you get to feel the drive, and that is worth every ounce of push I could have gone through.
Do you guys have any questions for Natalie? Anything that pops in?
So one thing that I didn't go over was this. One of the things that helped me the most when I was in high school was having a visual aid. So for me, this was pretty huge. I haven't held these in 20 years. This is insane. So this is what is it, 1 ounce?
That's 1 pound.
Oh, this is 1 pound. So this is what 1 pound of fat looks like when you see it isolated. When it's spread out over your whole body, you got one fat cell, one fat cell, one fat cell kind of spread out all over the place. But when you start packing a couple of them on, they kind of start adding up. Got this 5-pounder. You don't think 5 pounds is a whole lot. Pass it around, see how it feels. Wiggle it, shake it, squeeze it. It's a good time.
It's not real fat, by the way.
No, it's just a model.
She mentioned this. She's like, oh, there used to be this thing that Coach Court had, this replica of that. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
She still has it.
I just took it out recently because we were going to do this on Wednesday. So I have it right here.
So for me, having these visual aids was so huge. It was big for me because I could see what 1 pound of fat looked like. I could see what 5 pounds of fat looked like. And when I had 200 pounds, I wanted to get that 65 off more than anything. I wanted to feel like the Disney princesses that I watched when I was a kid. That was my goal. So I pushed and I pushed and I pushed, and I eventually found the answers that I was looking for. So I hope you guys do the same.
So give her a hand.
Thank you.